am comparing a rat to a rabbit since both animals are mammals. The digestive systems in all mammals are similar, and differences would be the size of the cecum in herbivores versus the carnivores. Although a rat is an omnivore and a rabbit is a herbivore, the digestive systems still contain the same organs. The rabbit would have a digestive system that consists of an alimentary canal. The canal contains a mouth for mechanical digestion, salivary glands for chemical digestion, a stomach for mechanical and some chemical digestion, a small intestine and duodenum doing most of the chemical digestion. The small intestine does absorption, a large intestine and anus for excretion, and the digestive glands, liver and pancreas responsible for secreting stomach acids and bile. So here is the digestive system in a rat that has the mouth, the colon, the small intestine, pancreas, stomach, the liver, and the anus for the excretion. And when the rabbit is taking in the food and ingesting the food, it is going to go through the larynx and trachea and then go into the esophagus. So both the rat and rabbit use lungs as the respiratory surface. Air either enters through the mouth or nasopharynx. It passes through the larynx and trachea into the lungs. From there, the air goes into small channels starting with the bronchi, then bronchioles, and into alveoli, which meets with the capillaries, which will then take the oxygen into the blood and return to the environment as carbon dioxide when exhaled. So here is the lungs, and then that's the trachea. So for the reproductive system, both the rat and rabbit exhibit internal fertilization and gestation. This protects the offspring from predators, allowing them to have a higher chance of survival while they are developing. Rats breed from a very young age and breed extremely often. A rat has a vaginal opening and 2 uteruses as shown. So here's the 2 uteruses, and then the vaginal opening is here. So I predict that a rabbit also has a vaginal opening and may also have multiple uteruses because I've heard that rabbits reproduce very quickly. All right, now let's get to our earthworm. All right, here's our earthworm, and we are going to be talking about digestion. So the earthworm, crawfish, squid, and perch all have a mouth for ingestion. Having a separate mouth and anus is what makes these animals have complete digestive systems. The organs for mechanical digestion in these organisms are a gizzard, an intestine, and an earthworm. A cardiac, stomach, gastric teeth, and gastric mill in a crayfish, stomach and cecum in a squid, stomach in a perch. The organs used for chemical digestion in these organisms are an intestine in earthworms, an intestine in a crawfish, salivary glands and stomach in a squid, stomach and duodenum in a perch. A perch has the digestive glands, liver, gallbladder, pancreas that either synthesize digestive juices or store and distribute bile. So here's the pancreas and gallbladder, and then there's the liver. All of these organisms have an intestine and anus used for excretion. So here's the anus. All right, the circulatory system. All of these organisms have a closed circulatory system except the crawfish. This is because the crawfish is in phylum Arthropoda, which is a phylum consisting of only open circulatory systems. An open circulatory system displays open-ended blood vessels, while a closed circulatory system displays all blood enclosed in blood vessels. The earthworm has aortic arches, a dorsal blood vessel, a ventral blood vessel, capillaries, and other blood vessels. So here is what we have. There's the dorsal blood vessel, and there's the ventral blood vessel. So a crawfish has a single-chambered heart with ostia and arteries, but no veins. The squid has a systemic and branchial hearts, arteries, arterioles, capillaries, venules, and veins. So here you can see the hearts, and you can see the different vessels. So a perch, let's look at the perch. It has a 2-chambered heart with arteries, arterioles, capillaries, venules, and veins. Just like the squid, except the squid doesn't have a 2-chambered heart. It has the systemic and branchial hearts. All right, the respiratory system. So An earthworm is a terrestrial animal, while the other organisms are aquatic animals. This causes the earthworm to be required to live in a moist soil environment in order to keep respiratory surfaces moist. The earthworm uses its body surface as its respiratory surface, as a result of high surface area to volume ratio and low metabolic needs. So the crawfish, squid, and perch all use gills as their respiratory surface. So here we have, that's the gills of the perch. Let's see, where did I label it? There's the outside of our perch's gills, and then that's how it looks on the inside. For the squid, here's how the gill looks. It's right there. And then there's the gill in the crawfish. So because these animals are breathing in water, they need gills to allow oxygenated water to diffuse through the gills and they need gills to allow oxygenated water to diffuse through the gills and oxygenate deoxygenated blood. CO2 also leaves through the gills. All right, the reproductive systems. All animal species produce more offspring than the environment can handle, and their surviving proportion is small. Factors like external fertilization and external gestation make the survival chances of offspring lower, which is why more offspring are produced. Factors like internal fertilization and internal gestation greatly enhance the offspring's ability to survive, which is why less offspring are produced. An earthworm is a hermaphrodite. Earthworms reproduce sexually by exchanging their sperm to each other's eggs. This is advantageous to earthworms because it allows both earthworms to produce offspring rather than only one. Earthworms lay many eggs, and all earthworms are laying these eggs, which shows that the offspring usually have a low chance of survival due to the large quantity being produced. A crawfish has separate sexes, but the probability of finding a mate is high, which allows many offspring to be produced. Crawfish lay many eggs, exhibit internal fertilization, and gestation occurs in their swimmerets, which increases chances of the survival of offspring. Because the eggs are protected in the swimmerets, crawfish produce less eggs than a squid or perch would due to the increased survival rate resulting from that. A squid has separate sexes, and the probability of finding a mate is lower for male squids due to a lower amount of female squids. The low probability of finding a mate and the fact that laid eggs are expelled into the surrounding environment causes squids to produce many eggs due to the low offspring survival rate resulting from those characteristics. A perch has separate sexes, and the probability of mating is very high because males will fertilize expelled eggs. Females will lay thousands of eggs because many will not be fertilized due to the fact that they are fertilized externally. External gestation into the open environment also decreases the survival rates, which is another reason why perches lay so many eggs. A rat has separate sexes, and the probability of finding a mate is high. A litter of rat can contain very few pups. This is because they are reproduced by internal embryonic development. This kind of development protects the offspring a lot, which greatly enhances the survival rate, which is why rats don't need to produce so many extra offspring. All right, so if a rat was exothermic, the metabolic needs would not be met. Animals that are endothermic have higher metabolic needs because more food has to be eaten in order to generate heat that maintains homeostasis. Being endothermic allows rats to adjust their body temperature using their own metabolism. Cold-blooded animals cannot adjust their body temperature with their metabolism and must rely on an outside source. Rats are very active creatures who have a 4-chambered heart, complex nervous system, complex digestive system, complex lungs as a respiratory surface, and other factors like internal gestation that requires a fast metabolism. Cold-blooded animals need to have reduced activity levels in times where external factors like the sun aren't available. The rat metabolism cannot have reduced activity levels due to the complexity of its systems, which is why the metabolic needs would not be met.